Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, coming to you from an altitude of 5,280 feet, where we look forward to seeing you in June 3rd to 5th for Mile High 2021, where we will be focusing on the art. Right now, we're going to be focusing on our special guest, which you are going to be excited to hear from on this podcast. Wherever you are listening to this, whether it be YouTube or Stitcher or Facebook or iTunes, I highly recommend you hit subscribe so you never miss an episode of Mile High Tick, so you keep growing. Today, I have the honor for a Mile High First, which we are interviewing special guest Julie Jones. Julie Jones has been the woman behind the scenes of Mile High for many years. And has a unique perspective on Mile High, which will help all of you and help your team. She's been our team coordinator at Network Family Wellness Center for 5 years, and also runs the coaching for Lifetime Wellness Practice Team Inner Circle, and has helped organize the team trainings for Mile High and the whole Mile High program for many years. So we're going to deep dive into what it takes to be a phenomenal chiropractic professional to help you get to whatever your next level is, because the team is your wind beneath your wings. Julie Jones, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Danny.
We're grateful to have you here. First of all, let's have people get to know you, because right now, many people that may be fans of Mile High just know you as maybe the person behind the registration desk or the person on the other side of their emails or something like that. So share a little bit about how you found your way into this world of chiropractic from your perspective.
Yeah, from my perspective. So I found my way into chiropractic because I knew that I wanted to work in some way in holistic health and wellness. And it's something that had been a part of my life for a long time. I was kind of raised with that sort of holistic perspective on health. And I, coming out of college, had been working in restaurants and just found that my chosen career path wasn't very fulfilling. So I knew that I wanted to join in some way into the holistic health profession. I didn't know what that looked like. So I randomly started, well, not random, but I started applying to different holistic offices via Craigslist and stumbled upon Network Family Wellness Center and ended up being a fabulous fit. And I have been in Network Family Wellness Center's office for the past 5.5 years, and had no prior chiropractic knowledge or experience. I'd never been to a chiropractor before working in the industry, and the care that I've received, obviously, from doctors Danny Rochelle has been top notch. So I'm pretty thrilled that my introduction to chiropractic got to be the one that I had. But I also have had an experience of it changing my life, my family's life. And I've been able to be on the other end of it, where I'm helping change people's lives and get to see the ripple effect that chiropractic has out in the world. And I feel so grateful and so blessed to have ended up here.
And we're grateful for you. And so are many chiropractors and chiropractic teams around the world. And it's quite a journey when someone comes into the world of chiropractic and really embraces it, when it becomes not a job, but really a career or calling. Now, with that, what are some of the, working as a chiropractic professional in an office, some of the things that juiced you in terms of seeing things in people's lives?
Oh man, that's a hard one to answer because there's so much. I think I'm like, narrow it down to an answer, Julie. I mean, I think just seeing on a personal level, seeing my friends and my family who've been under chiropractic care and been under network care, especially, I've been able to see them transform from how they were showing up with interference to now showing up as they really are. And I think it's so cool to be able to see people you've known your whole life go through a transformation like that, and also feel that transformation for myself. And I think that really is the fuel for me. But I also think being able to see how our practice members change in their relationships, and what's possible for them, like them coming in because maybe they're in an acute state of pain or whatever it is, but a year or two down the line, seeing how they then are really changing how they're showing up in the world. I feel like so many of our practice members go through career changes, divorces, I just think that people are able to get on their life path and tap more into their soul calling when they have a clear nervous system. And it's, for me, that's like the fuel for what I do.
See, that's one of the things that I tell people all of the time, that when you have someone, that how do I find the best CAs? How do I find the best ones? And where is there like a bar they hang out at, or is there a particular place that the listing is where to list it? They'll find the good ones. And personally, my feeling is that you never know what's inside a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're going to get. The ones that become phenomenal really get lit up by seeing the changes in people's lives, and they have a sense of growth and contribution that gets ignited by seeing that. And until they see that, it may just be another job they're applying for. So now with that, you've trained, mentored, helping many chiropractic professionals, and I truly feel you're the best chiropractic professional mentor somebody could have. Now, with that, you've seen people who've floundered as CAs, and you've seen people that have soared. What have you seen as some of the characteristics that make the difference of one or the other?
Oh, that's a good one. I think that the biggest things that I can see when people are successful, is that they develop a belief behind what they're doing and develop a why behind what they're doing. And I think a lot of people don't come in with that, but it's something that can be fostered by the team and by the doctors and by the care that they're receiving. So I think that's a big one. That doesn't necessarily happen right away, though. You're not usually interviewing somebody who you're like, wow, they really believe in chiropractic, and their why is that they want to, have every man, woman, and child get adjusted. But I think the biggest characteristics that we look for when hiring are how quickly can they process information, because there's like so much going on in a chiropractic office, and you truly do need to be able to have like 360-degree awareness, and also be able to answer the phone or be present with the person in front of you, direct the flow of the office, or even in having a financial conversation with someone or a conversation about their care, you need to be able to process information quickly. So I think that is one of the first things that I look for in a successful CA. I think also the desire to learn and grow, having a growth mindset, having a kind of an open book, or of what's possible. I don't really see a lot of people coming in who are successful when they are here temporarily, when they have the desire to go back to school in the next year, or they maybe don't really want to live here. And so I think looking for long-term commitment, and also the willingness to learn, and that's super helpful. I think having someone who's outgoing, and generally like gregarious, or just can really connect with people. I think people first is really the main objective in our office. Is we want people who are always going to put people before policy. I mean, we want a team that can follow through on tasks and that sort of thing, but that is actually like second tier, because we really want somebody who can connect with someone and really have a new patient coming in feel heard and seen, and have somebody that has like a high level of emotional intelligence. So I
Yeah.
think those would be the main things that I would say I look for when building our team.
Do you find that often when you work with other chiropractic teams that doctors have hired down instead of hired up?
Yeah, I think that there is.
Meaning that they've said, oh, I just need someone to answer the phone versus that they're trying to get a paraprofessional.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's reflected in maybe like, oh, they have low standards for what they're looking for. But I do think that what they're advertising, what, like, if you think about an interview, it's a sales process on both ends. Like, as the employer, you're selling it to the potential employee, and vice versa. They're selling themselves to you. So I think about it like, a lot of it, chiropractors are selling the wrong thing. And thus they're finding the wrong people, because they're not selling a long-term position with growth and change, and they're selling more of like, you're a receptionist or something like that, that's like lower frequency, and so they end up hiring a lower frequency individual.
Right. And then they want a career person out of them.
Yeah, so it's like what they want and what they're actually putting out there are on two totally different levels.
Right, right. And I see that so frequently. And so in working with lots of teams, and training lots of chiropractic professionals in different positions, from front desk to clinical to office coordinators, what are the things that have been tools that help you train people? What are tools that you recommend other people utilize for their team?
Anything that can be automatic. Anything that can be so that I don't have to spend my personal time doing it is incredibly helpful, and incredibly helpful if you are a chiropractor who it's only you in your office. You don't have time to spend 40 hours a week training someone. So having training resources that are audio, video, scripting, really helping the person that you just hired understand that a lot of their training is going to be done individually, and needs to, and again, you need to find somebody who's driven to do that on their own. And I think role playing is like the most important thing you can do. And if we have, what we say in our office is, if you think you're role playing too much, you're probably not role playing enough. So it's one thing to learn the information. It's one thing to see the information, to watch a training video, to read the script. But if you're not actually practicing it, you're not actually walking through it yourself, when the time comes that you have a new patient phone call, or you're doing a new patient exam, or you're having a financial conversation with a practice member, the likelihood that you're going to be able to stay in kind of a upper mental problem solving sort of frame of mind is going to decrease, because you're trying so hard to remember what you're supposed to be saying. So I think having automatic systems for introducing information is awesome, like introductory training videos, that sort of thing. But then to really be implementing it by role playing is huge. And I think the other thing is outsource where you need to. None of our office team for a really long time were professionals in sales. So we outsource and hire a sales coach that trains our team, not necessarily just the doctors. So I think also providing training resources for your team is huge. And also, when you're taking that investment and investing in your team in that sort of training, you're showing your team member that they're worth it and that you believe in them. And also, on the receiving end of that, you're like, wow, this is such a huge gift that I get this level of training in.
Yep, absolutely. And they feel like they're getting more.
Oh,
You're back.
Okay.
That's okay. We can edit it out. I'll just mark it. So I'll ask you the next question.
Okay.
Now, that is so true. Having multiple training resources and training more than you probably think you need to is vital, because often there's the, oh, let's just throw them in to answer the phones, just throw them in and then blame the team when they may not have had enough resources to grow. You want to make it so that it's hard for them to fail, right? So you give them the resources needed to grow. Have you found any particular assessment tools that help you assess team members?
Yes, I love StrengthsFinder. I think it's such a great tool for when you're in the interviewing process. Even you can have potential employees go on take the strengths assessment, so you can figure out really what their strengths are. And I look for people who have a little bit of all the different strengths, but we really want to look at people who are relationship focused, and also it's great to find team members who are strategic or also have strengths in the executing category, because that they'll really get things done. And so I love StrengthsFinder. We also use a number of like the disc profile is awesome, or we use a strength or a personality assessment that also shows is your team member a driver? Are they amiable? Are they expressive? Are they analytical? That really helps us to see, how they would show up in the office. And for somebody who's going to be at the front desk or a clinical assistant or an office coordinator, really any role in the office, you have to have somebody who can be in the driver's seat of any conversation. So when looking at those sort of assessments, we want to really look for somebody who, it doesn't even have to be their top strength, but we want to see somebody who's a driver, who maybe they have a little bit of amiable in them, but you really want somebody who can take control of a conversation and it not feel really uncomfortable. And also we have a few little tests that we put into our application that just show us, like, can somebody follow directions? Do they read through the instructions? But then we also, when starting out, after we've hired somebody, we have them take a training assessment that gives me an idea of what their learning style is. So are they auditory, visual, kinesthetic? That really will help me take an approach to their training that is suitable for them, versus somebody who only learns by doing. I don't want to just put them in front of videos. I'm going to know that visual or auditory isn't their strong suit for learning. So we're going to take more of a hands-on approach with someone.
Right.
All of those things together are super helpful when training a new team member.
Yes. And so then when you have a team members versus a team, because most doctors, or many doctors, are wanting to make the journey from it's just me all by myself, then I've got one person and I want 2 or 3 so I can have more impact. Helping onboard and grow one person, then there's the dynamic of having multiple people. What's the magic sauce that keeps a team of 2, 3, 4 thriving together?
Great question. No, I'm just kidding. I think using those sort of assessments for strengths is really my approach. And what I like to do is, if you're a chiropractor and you're just hiring your first team member, you should know what your strengths are, because you want to hire in someone who doesn't have the same strengths as you. You want somebody who can really round out where your weaknesses are. And I think that goes through building a whole team. We just hired a 4th or 5th team member, and we had the whole team redo their strengths assessments so that we could see where are the gaps, what are we looking for, and we were able to hire in an office coordinator who filled in the gaps in where our office collective strengths were. And so I think when building a team, it's really helpful to look at, what exactly do you need? Where is your team falling short? And then looking to fill that role in the office, not necessarily just like, I need an office coordinator, I need a front desk, I need a clinical assistant. It's more, what's the personality of what we need in the office? And I think that so many people might look at a resume or look at, what's their qualification, but I really don't think that plays a huge role in building a team. I think building a team based on how personalities fit together is so much more important, because when people are happy and can thrive and work together well, they're going to be so much more effective and productive than if they had prior chiropractic experience but clash with somebody on the team. It doesn't work.
And I want people to realize that are listening or watching, you're not someone who was a CA 10 years ago or 20 years ago, or ran an office at one point and now mentors you or something like that. You work in offices and work with people every day. And so here you are navigating the 2020 year in an office and with an office team. What are some things that you'd recommend to doctors and teams coming out of 2020 COVID to up level their practice into 2021 and serve better?
I think right now it is more important than ever that you have a team that really is creating an environment that is healing for people. And I think it is really important that, and I mean, that's always important, but I think now more than ever, like, we have people who don't leave their house and only come to our office. And we are their only source of connection. We're their only source of joy. And I think moving into next year, I just like so want people's experience in their chiropractic offices to be positive, and be a place where they can so that they can be that for people is really important. And I think that's really important in the training that you give them, like we were talking about, so that your team can be present with people and can show up for people in that positive and loving way. And so I think building a team that knows what they're doing and also has cohesion in how they're working together is really important. Some tools that I'm really excited about in 2021 are our Lifetime Wellness Practice. We're launching a team training system, and this is the first time that we've really done this. We've done individual training seminars where we've focused on team training, but this is the first time we're going to be making it accessible for everyone else to access the same training that our team goes through, and I'm so excited for people to have access to that. So that'll be launching in January. So definitely make sure that you look for that. And I'm also going to be training one-on-one with teams for the first time outside of our office. So I'm really excited about that as well. I'm looking forward to seeing how other teams need support, because every office is a little bit different. We all generally have the same challenges. So I'm really looking forward to that, and just excited to help other teams move forward in how they can show up for people.
Yes. And we say this saying in our office, in Lifetime Wellness Practice, and it goes into our office. We have this saying in Lifetime Wellness Practice: never miss a module, and always bring your team. Never miss a module and always bring your team. Now, I find that often doctors are afraid to invest in their team and bring them to a program such as Mile High. What have you seen come out of teams attending Mile High?
I see so much excitement, and I see growth happen in the teams that are at Mile High. I can think of a couple teams that are there every single year, and they are offices that have had CAs there every single year, the same one. So that shows me that by them investing in their teams and investing in their training and also in their chiropractic education, they understand the mission of chiropractic, they understand the belief, they want to be a part of it. And also, as a team member, you feel valued when you're brought to an event, or when your employer says, hey, I'm investing in your training, you're coming with us to Mile High, or whatever it is. So I think that teams that show up at events really stick with it for a lot longer. I think it's not a guarantee, but I think it's one way that you can really set your team up for longevity. And I also see team members, connecting with one another. And the amount of teams that I've had see what our team is capable of and come up to me and tell me, like, I had no idea that was possible, or we've been doing this and it hasn't been working. I see that you guys are doing it this way. Tell me more about that. There's like, as chiropractors, you get that all the time. You can bounce ideas off each other. As team members, you don't really have an opportunity to do that. So to have a place like Mile High where you can come as a team member and feel that support and camaraderie with other CAs in the field it's fantastic, and it's such a good feeling. And I really can't stress enough the importance of investing in your team to show up for education and modules.
And I so agree. And that brings me something that I'm not sure if I know how to ask as a question, but it's something you've talked about a lot that I think is important for people to realize. But you'll know what I'm talking about, which is often you've said how you've seen teams, how you've seen that our people, our chiropractic assistants, CAs, feeling alone, like they're just thrown into this and they don't know that they're not connected to other teams or have a support system other than there's the one CA and they're trying to do their best to juggle everything in an office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, like we talk about in chiropractic, that there's power in healing as a community. And there's research behind people who feel connected to one another is healing faster. And I think the same is true for any area of life, really. But that to feel isolated and to feel alone, especially in your career or in your job, is not a feeling that's going to keep you there.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a communal support system, to have a place to go ask questions is so important. I think we've moved further in that direction, but I think as a profession, chiropractic still has a long way to go, because doctors have support within each other, but chiropractic professionals really don't. There are maybe 2 or 3 CA training programs out there, and it's just not something that is taken as seriously as maybe like a medical assistant or a dental assistant, that it is just as valid of a career, if not. It's so important to me. So I don't ever want a chiropractic professional to feel like they don't have support or don't have somewhere where they can go and ask questions, or have we don't have a chiropractic CA school, so we learn these things through doing them. So it's so helpful for people to have a place where they feel like, this situation happened, how do I handle it? Or as doctors, you're not taught in school how to really manage a practice. So to have CAs that are learning that from each other and can also be bringing that to the doctor so they don't have to. That is where I feel like chiropractic really needs to grow, and there need to be more resources and more energy invested in that area.
Right. And then there's this place of I'm working this solo office. I feel alone. There's this doctor that's talking about this stuff that I've never heard about in terms of healing, innate intelligence, subluxation. They don't want to do vaccines, all kinds of stuff that's counterculture. And that's one reality for many chiropractic systems that they walk into. I know many that I've heard that story a bunch, right? And then they'll grow into it. Then there's another place of where you feel like you're part of a bigger vision. When you're connected to other offices, when you go to something like Mile High as a team member, you're like, oh, it's not just this office that I'm working at in San Diego. There's a whole community that has a vision, and then you're part of something. And so, how did that help you?
Oh, it's so energizing. It's to feel connected to a bigger purpose. I mean, in anything, like that's so much more energizing than to feel like I'm going to work and I have a checklist and I'm getting my things done and oh man, this patient came in today and they have this concern and I have to have this conversation. Like that just is like it can be deflating, right? So to feel like there are um other people out there who understand what you're going through or to just see like, oh wow, this is the vision of chiropractic and this is really how chiropractic is serving humanity. That is such a better why to be connected to than I need a paycheck or I just got this job and I'm going to show up and oh, I kind of like chiropractic or I really like chiropractic, but I don't really know what I want to do with my life. Like that is so many CAs.
Right.
And without like, they're not really going to, I mean, they might develop that bigger picture just based on the care that you provide in your office. I think if you're a phenomenal chiropractor, that's likely that they'll start to develop that. But to bring them somewhere where you have, speakers from all over the world really and from all sorts of different types of practices, not just network, not just with different techniques, it opens up, for me it really opened up the my worldview of like what was possible for chiropractic and really helped me get connected to a why and a purpose, and a team member who's driven by a bigger why or a bigger purpose is going to be so much more effective and so much more passionate.
And I want to say something about that, which is this, and you may add to it likely, which is this. So often, doctors are, and I've been there, so I'm not pointing a finger, I know the experience, but they're afraid to spend the money to bring a team member to something. Because what if they quit? What if they leave? And I spent the money, time, energy, etc. And I have to say, bring them to things sooner. Bring them to Sherman Lyceum. Bring them to Life West Wave. Bring them to CalJam. Bring them to Focus OKC. Of course, bring them to Lifetime Wellness Practice trainings and bring them to Mile High at the top of your list. But whatever is where you are or that's in alignment with what you want to do, or you might be in New Zealand watching this, bring them to the New Zealand Lyceum at the New Zealand Chiropractic School. But here's the thing: by doing that, there's two things that will happen. All right, you're going to speed up the process of them either doing you a favor and leaving your practice, or them growing and stepping up. Because either they're going to be like, "This is not for me," and they'll leave very shortly, and that's a good thing, or because the other ways that would drag it out, and you would not have the growth that you need to have. You only have so many years that you can practice. You have only so many days in a year, and to work with someone 3 months, 6 months, a year, and they're not helping you move forward, it's your time in the lives that you're not impacting. Versus that someone goes to a program and maybe they're in their first month or their 6 months, and they're like, wow, this jazzed me. I feel like a bigger part of something. That then they put a different energy into serving your community.
Yeah, I think, to operate or to not do those things just because you're afraid is, it's like a practice member coming in and not starting care because they're afraid. They don't know if if care is going to help them or not. But you don't know unless you try. And you don't know unless you bring somebody to a program. And guess what? It becomes very clear. We've done this, and it's gonna happen to probably most of you, where you're gonna bring a team member to a program and they're gonna be like checked out on their phone, they're sleeping in, they don't want to go. Like, it happens. And as your employer, you're like, oh, you're not a good fit for my team. If this isn't fueling you, if this isn't exciting to you, then you're out. And I think that's a blessing for you.
Mhm.
So the risk is really, it's not a risk. Like, you don't risk losing your team member. You risk finding a better, or you take the chance of finding a better team member. And I think, like, we just had a lifetime wellness practice seminar, and our team was there helping work it, but also attending it. And we have a team member who's been here 30 days, and she texted me on her way home and she was like, I feel like I'm high right now. She's like, I'm like buzzing after today. This was amazing. I can't believe I'm here. And it like was ding, 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 we have a winner. As her manager, I'm like, that's awesome. I'm so excited that, just being at work all day on a Saturday was like the greatest thing that ever happened to her. So,
Right. And we've had the experiences of the opposite, right? And so then, well, I'm not going to get out of this relationship what I need for my office and for my patients, because ultimately it's about your practice members. Ultimately, what kind of care do your practice members deserve, right? And to me, our practice members deserve the best customer service. They need people that are, all in for their healing, or can be a mentor to them, and are going to create a community environment. And when that happens, that has not been every year in practice over the last 20 years. I don't think there's many people that can say that's happened, but when it is, it's magical. And that's what you want to strive for you to have increased impact. So, Julie, anything last that you'd like to share with chiropractors or chiropractic professionals in terms of steps for success?
join the Lifetime Wellness Practice Team Inner Circle, first off, so that you can have a support community as a CA. So this is not for doctors, just for CAs. Join the Team Lifetime Wellness Practice Inner Circle. It's a Facebook community for like-minded CAs who, we go through monthly training topics. We have 12 different modules that we'll go through throughout the year, ranging everything from like how to handle a first phone call to how to handle objections in financial conversations. And it really is just like a super awesome team mastermind where people can come and ask questions. Or, we have people ask questions like, what kind of care plan system do you guys use? There's all sorts of things. So there's great support in there. And then if you're wanting additional support for training new team members or retraining your team members, also look for the team training system that we're rolling out in January. And if you feel like your team needs even more support, please reach out to me. I'd love to jump on the phone with them monthly and just help support in other ways. And bring your team to all the programs. 2020 has been a year that's been a total bummer for programs. So I'm really hoping moving into 2021, there are lots of trainings, lots of programs that we can go to, and show up with your teams, show them that you are investing in them. And I really feel like they will invest that back into your practice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for driving the train of Mile High the last couple of years through lots of things and into 2021. And also, people loved your presentation at the team training last year. So we look forward to having you present at team training again. And 2021, everybody clear your calendar, reserve your seats. June 3rd to 6th, Mile High comes early this year, and make sure to bring your team because it will be one of the best investments that you make for your team. Registration rises December 31st, milehighchiroregistration.com. And we look forward to seeing you on higher ground in 2021. And let's keep changing spines, lives, and minds with chiropractic.